Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're going to be looking at a relatively new product, and that is Unreal Card Magic 2 by Earl. Now, I did not review the original Unreal Card Magic because I do know most of the content is already on the family, and especially since I live in Canada, I know with the shipping I would have had to pay customs as well, so it would have cost me very much for a statue and essentially a book that describes the effect. So I did not decide to purchase Unreal Card Magic for that. However, Unreal Card Magic 2 promised to offer 8 brand new effects never before published, neither in any of Earl's content, nor the family. And also it is a digital download compared to the original, which has to ship a physical product. So it did attract me and I decided to purchase this. And I am glad to say that it is very good. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Perfect, so decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Unreal Card Magic 2. So what is this? Essentially, this was offered as an add-on for people who had purchased Unreal Card Magic 1 during the pre-sale on the Kickstarter. And afterwards, after a few months, there was such high demand of this that it was put on pre-sale on Illusionist as well, and it just recently released and available to all. And essentially, it is an extension of the first project, but one that if you don't have the first project like myself, but if you are a member of the family or you know Earl's work, even if you don't, it is still in-depth and graspable by everyone. But it is an extension of the original project that promises to offer 10 effects, which from those 10, 8 are brand new and never before published. Now, I will, as always, go over everything that you get in your kind of download and your package. But first, I do want to tell you, or maybe give you a small performance of one of my favorite routines that is there. And it's also the simplest one. Now, again, most of these routines, doing them for camera, like just, one-on-one isn't the best, but we'll work with it. So essentially a card is going to be selected. And again, I'm doing this fast, you're going to do this more elegant. You're going to put a presentation on it. You're going to look at the card and you're essentially going to tell the spectator why you do all this, that you're essentially, you're going to ask them if they ever had a moment where you kind of see something that you believe is real, but is actually not real. And I think everyone has had that moment and everyone feels that they've had that moment at least once. And that's exactly what I'm going to try and do here. Because I'm going to try and see which of these was your card. And I think that this one could be it. I think this could be your card here, the 9 of Hearts. Was that it? Was the 9 of Hearts the card that you were thinking of? And of course, the spectators are going to say, no, it was not the 9 of Hearts. But then you tell them, okay, so if it wasn't the 9 of Hearts, what actually was your card? Was it close? They're going to say no. You're going to ask them, what was actually your card? Was it red at least? No, it was black. Was it a spade? Okay, so heart and spade is close, but what was the value? A queen. So, okay, queen 9, not really close. But you remember what I said, because didn't I show you the queen of spades from the start? And then when they look down at your hand, the 9 of hearts that you were showing is the queen of spades. And that is the trick. So very simple, again, without a spectator and without the whole pattern. It may seem boring or unintuitive, but trust me, it is a brilliant trick if done correctly and to live people. It flies by and destroys them. That is one of the effects taught in this download, and it is fantastic. So now let's actually talk about the rest of what you get. So you are going to get first a part where he's going to talk about some additional, because apparently in the first Unreal Card Magic, there was a theory section and a slide section. So he's going to develop both of those. So he's going to develop the slide section with some new ideas and things for you to ponder. And also towards the end, there's a theory section where he goes over a bunch of theory stuff and how to approach things. And there's one thing that he says in particular that really kind of resonated with me, and maybe it's going to resonate with you, is he talks about bravery. And he says, that there's kind of this idea that as magicians, we're never shy, we're never scared, we're never anxious, we never feel stress in performance. And that's completely false, because a lot of us are actually brave, and bravery requires you to be scared, because to be brave, you have to overcome a challenge. And just his discussion on that, it's around 10 minutes, was just so good to me, because I'm someone that, even though I perform and I enjoy performing, every time before a gig, before I actually get to the first table, I am dripping in sweat and I'm scared and I'm anxious. But once I pass that first table and that first hurdle, just like he says, I'm just become myself, I become my persona, and I'm ready to go. And just that whole theory discussion is brilliant. But for those that are interested in the effects, these are the effects that you get. So you're going to get pickpocket, which is essentially an effect where you're going to pickpocket a card from someone's mind. So you're going to be able to tell them the card that you're thinking of. And then from a deck that they've placed in the box and in your pocket, with one hand, you're going to be able to pickpocket the card from the box that they thought of. Then you're going to get an effect called the one, which is essentially kind of a miscall switch effect where you show them that they've chosen a card, they say no, you place it in their hand cleanly, then you take out another one, or another one, depending how you want to present, but essentially the card that was wrong from the start and placed in their hand, the card is the one that they selected from the start. You then get a sandwich effect called in between. Essentially what you're going to get here is a sandwich effect where the card is going to be sandwiched that they selected between two cards in the deck. Those two cards are then going to be, the deck is going to be closed, and with a snap of the fingers or whatever, their card is going to appear in between. Then you're going to proceed to do it again, but this time they're going to give you two cards in your hands that they choose, only two. They give it to you in the hand. You say, perfect. Now look, we're going to try and find your card in the deck as we did before. It doesn't work, but then it actually appears in the sandwich in your hand. It's weird to explain, but it works very well in practice. Then you're also going to get the red herring. This is something that he's already published. It's one of his most famous controls, and one that I've been using for years since it got published. And here in this download, he just tells you how to kind of change it a bit and apply it in certain contexts. You're also going to learn the real ACAN, which essentially is his ACAN that he published for, I think you refer people in the family, you get access to the real ACAN. It's a brilliant effect. It's as straightforward as it gets. I think it's one of the best card at any numbers. It does require slights, but it is very good. You're then going to get Octopus 2, which is a routine he has on the family and apparently in Unreal Card Magic 1 as well, where a thought of card, you're essentially going to be able to cut to it or it appears in your pocket. But here, instead of having you go through a rather tedious forcing procedure in the original, in here there is no forcing. It is a thoroughly randomly named card, and just the way that he thought of this effect is brilliant, because sometimes it's actually going to hit and it's going to be the cleanest effect ever, and if not, it's still going to be extremely clean. He gives you an out. It is fantastic. So you're going to get Octopus 2, then you're going to get Manifest, which is the one that I showed you, which plays on kind of their subconscious thinking of, seeing something that's not there. So that one is beautiful. Then there's another one called Fingerprint, which is very, very good. It's essentially, you ask them to touch a card. Okay, they're going to touch one. They're going to look at it. You place it back in the deck. You do whatever you want. And then you tell them, look, I'm going to try and find your card based on your fingerprint. You go through, you examine the cards, and you say, okay, I think this is your card. What was it? Etc. And I don't want to, for those that don't know this, I really don't want to give the punch for that effect. But that effect is going to destroy your audiences. Then you're also going to get something that is new, but is, if you have his book about ace cutting, I forgot what it's called, pardon me for that, but if you have his book or download Less is More, there you go, with ace cutting, he's essentially going to teach you an ace cutting routine that also has a kicker reveal in it, which is great. And I believe that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 effects. I believe I'm missing one, but yeah, I'm sorry for that. But those are most of the effects that you're going to get, almost all of them in this project. They are very good. Most of them, I think out of the 10, 8 of them I am going to use and I'm going to practice because they are that great. So now that you know all that, let's get into where you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get. So you can buy this directly from illusions.com. It will set you back 99 USD, which is 135 Canadian. And what you get is all of those effects that I've mentioned in digital form. So you're going to get everything separated in categories for you to enjoy. Everything is clean and clear on the website for you to unpack and dissect anything that you would need to know regarding the effect. And the runtime, I believe it's relatively long. I believe it's around 3 to 5 hours long, I think in total. So you are getting a lot of bang for your buck. So now let's talk about difficulty. So how difficult is this? Well, this is not beginner friendly. Most of these routines require moves, subtleties, palms, switches, blatant switches, a lot of things that a beginner will not be able to do. So this is definitely not a beginner friendly trick. It is, or package of tricks, it is, I would say, intermediate. So intermediate towards a bit more advanced, because except for the one that I've showed you, the manifest routine where the card just changes, most of the other routines will require palms, misdirection, holdouts, etc. They are technical routines. Some of them will even require you to learn top shots and kick shots from the middle of the deck. Some of the routines are complicated. Some of them will require practice, and illusionists are pretty straightforward on that. We know that they love to always say that all their material is beginner friendly, is going to make you the life of the party. But here, even them on the website says that this will take some more practice than most effects. So they're honest about that at least. So at least you know what you're getting into. You will need a basis, and you will need to be kind of prolific with cards in order to get all of these effects and be able to do them with a running start. For example, the routine with the aces, I would never be able to do that because of how insane the sleights he uses are. Not really sleights, more flourishes. You can use non-flourishing ways to do it, but if you want to do the beautiful way that he does it, you're going to have to learn some insane flourishes. So just to tell you that even me that loves cards, even though I don't necessarily perform with cards, there's some really difficult routines in this project. So it is basically intermediate to advanced. Now let's talk about what the practicality of this. Well, as always with Ben Earl, none of these effects use gimmicks or gimmick cards or gimmick decks. Everything is just with a normal borrowed deck of cards. So to perform all of these effects, you just need a borrowed deck of cards, and that is it. So practicality carrying wise, it is great. In terms of reset, most of these routines can be reset instantly. Most of them don't even have a setup, I would say, except for maybe one or two that have a slight setup. None of them actually need any required setup whatsoever in order to perform. In terms of angles, most of the routines are good. I would say 180 for some, 360 for others. In terms of table, you do not need a table for most of these effects. Most of these effects can be done in the hands, standing up. All of the effects are examinable because, as I've said, it is a normal deck of cards. So practicality-wise, with Ben Earl, you always know you're going to get top-notch practical card magic. Now let's talk about where do you perform these effects. So these effects are destined to be performed anywhere. Again, as with most of Ben Earl's stuff, this can be performed in cabaret settings, parlor settings, on stage, even if you want through Zoom. These can be then standing up, cocktails, table hopping, wherever. This material, if you're a card magician, you can use wherever your heart fancies you want to use it. So, having said this, what are the positives and negatives of Unreal Card Magic 2? First, let's start out with the negatives. So what is the negatives of this? Well, one of the negatives could be, if you want, that this is a bit pricey. I am not here again, I don't like to criticize products because of price, because it is unfair for the creator and everything. But if you do kind of unpack it, it is almost $15 per trick Canadian that you're paying. Is that a lot? Depends on how you view it, but it is for US people. You're basically paying $10 per effect. So 10 USD per effect. Is that much? Up to you to decide. But I do think that it is, considering, again, I always come back with this with the products that he released with Illusionist, that the family is such a bang for your buck. For the almost $50 that I'm paying for this, I could be subscribed to the family for like 6 months, I believe. So, pros and cons, but it is something to keep in mind. It is a bit on the upper side, but you are getting really good material and unpublished material here, which is still of some value. Now moving on to the positives. One, the routines are killer. They're incredibly well structured. The subtleties are great. The tutorial is great. The filming of this is absolutely great. The production value, Ben Earl, of course, is an excellent teacher. You're going to learn some fun stuff. And most importantly, they're practical. They can be done anywhere, inspectable, any point in time. But also, most importantly, these effects are fooling and great. That is the bottom line. So having said all of this, would I recommend Unreal Card Magic 2, and what do I give it on 10? So if you're an owner of Unreal Card Magic 1, which I'm not, but you love what you've gotten, just buy the 2. You are going to be pleasantly surprised. I believe it's just going to build on everything that he taught you in the original tenfold. If you're someone like me that did not buy the Unreal Card Magic 1 because you weren't really interested in the statue of the hand in the book and you just wanted to actually just have the tutorials and you didn't want all of the shipping and etc., and you've wanted some Ben Earl material that is not in the family, then this is your best bet. I think you're going to be happy with your purchase. Even though it is a bit expensive, I think you're going to be happy with your purchase because of the quality of the material on offer here. So yes, I would recommend it. If you're someone that likes Ben Earl's work, if you're a card worker that is intermediate to advanced, I think this is a must buy for you, so I do heavily recommend it. So what would I give it out of 10? I'm giving Unreal Card Magic 2 a 9 out of 10. It is very good, it is very strong, and it is something that if you love card magic, you should technically get, because you're going to get some routines here that I'm sure you'll be performing every single gig moving forward. So that's all I have to say about Unreal Card Magic 2. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If not, as always, I'll see you all in my next one. Have a great one.